When we think of viruses, we typically imagine them as tiny, invisible invaders, microscopic entities that infiltrate our bodies, cause infections, and wreak havoc. But have you ever wondered how a virus sees you, or rather, how it identifies its target? From the moment a virus comes into contact with your body, it begins a carefully orchestrated search for the perfect cell to invade. And this search is driven by a combination of biological cues and molecular recognition. So, what exactly does a virus see when it looks at you? Let's take a deep dive into the fascinating world of viral perception. Viruses don't have eyes or any sensory organs like animals do. They don't see the world in the way we do, but they are extremely attuned to the cells they need to infect. Their ability to identify a host cell relies on specific molecular markers, molecules on the surface of your cells that viruses can latch onto. These markers, known as receptors, act as the locks to which the virus's key fits perfectly. It's through this precise interaction that a virus identifies a suitable host and gains entry. The moment a virus enters your body, it's already on the hunt for cells with the right receptors. It might be looking for a specific protein or sugar on the surface of a cell that acts as a receptor or entry point. But it's not just the SARS-CoV-2 virus that has this kind of receptor-based recognition system. Other viruses have their own specific host receptors they target. For example, the influenza virus has hemagglutinin proteins on its surface that bind to sugars, called sialic acids, on the surface of respiratory cells, allowing the virus to attach and then enter. Similarly, HIV targets CD4 receptors on immune cells, such as T helper cells, which are critical for your immune system's function. HIV uses these receptors to invade immune cells and weaken the body's ability to fight off other infections. What makes this process even more remarkable is the precision with which viruses recognize their targets. Each virus has evolved to specifically target certain types of cells in the body. For instance, the hepatitis B virus specifically targets liver cells, whereas the polio virus targets nerve cells. The virus sees your body not as a whole but as a collection of distinct cells, each of which carries unique surface markers that the virus can recognize and latch onto. The viral search doesn't stop at just finding the right receptor. Once the virus has identified a target cell, it must then figure out how to get inside. Many viruses do this by binding to the receptor, which triggers the fusion of the viral membrane with the host cell's membrane. This allows the virus to release its genetic material into the cell, where it can begin to replicate and spread. Some viruses, like HIV, use CD4 receptors to gain access to T cells, while others may employ more complex strategies. For example, the influenza virus not only binds to its receptor but also uses an additional protein called neuraminidase to help it enter the cell, allowing the virus to break through the cell's defenses. Once inside, the virus gets to work. RNA viruses like coronaviruses and influenza bring their own RNA into the host cell and force the cell's machinery to replicate the virus. DNA viruses, like the herpes virus, typically enter the nucleus of the host cell, where they use the cell's DNA machinery to replicate their own genetic material. This is the virus's way of hijacking the cell to churn out more viruses, using your body's resources to create its own progeny. But the virus's ability to see and interact with the host cell doesn't end there. Viruses also have adaptation mechanisms that help them survive in an ever-changing environment. Many viruses have mutations that allow them to evade the immune system and continue to infect new hosts. For example, the influenza virus can change its surface proteins through a process called antigenic drift, which helps it escape detection by the immune system. By continuously altering its appearance, the virus can hide from the body's immune surveillance, effectively staying one step ahead. Furthermore, viruses can also manipulate the immune system. Once a virus has infected a cell, it can release signals that confuse or suppress the immune response. The herpes simplex virus, HSV, for instance, can remain dormant in nerve cells for years, hidden from the immune system, only to reactivate later under certain conditions, like when you're stressed or sick. This ability to stay undetected, sometimes for decades, is one of the key reasons viruses can have such a lasting impact on the body. What's truly fascinating is how viruses can not only identify their hosts but also adapt to them. Over time, viruses evolve to better infect their hosts, becoming more efficient at finding the right cells to invade, and more skilled at evading the immune system's defenses. HIV, for example, evolves so quickly that it can produce millions of variants within a single person, making it nearly impossible for the immune system to catch up. The virus's ability to see its host through receptors and adapt accordingly is a key reason why it remains so challenging to treat. When viruses look at you, they don't see you as a person with a name or a face. Instead, they see a collection of molecular structures, the proteins and sugars on the surface of your cells, that determine whether they can enter and infect you. They use their ability to recognize these markers to navigate your body and infect specific types of cells. The more we understand this viral vision, the better we can develop strategies to block the virus's access to our cells, whether through vaccines, antiviral drugs, or other therapeutic measures. So, when a virus looks at you, it sees a potential host, a target with specific receptors it can latch onto. It's this ability to recognize and exploit these tiny, molecular entry points that makes viruses so powerful and persistent. Understanding how viruses see and interact with their hosts is not just key to fighting infections, but also to developing strategies that could ultimately stop them in their tracks. The virus may be small, but its impact on your health is enormous. And it's that ability to see and invade that makes viruses one of the most successful life forms on Earth.